It is the most. I mean, it is one of the most trusted thing. I mean, capitalism. The base of capitalism is trust, because
Hmm.
every transaction itself is happened due to the trust,
Yeah.
either the product or the service.
Hmm. And it's especially it's required also for like online transactions as well. I remember studying how at the very start of kind of money becoming digitalized and services becoming digitalized, it was initially a little bit slow to take off because yeah, exactly. Like it needs trust, and the moment people start trusting these online services, then it can really
I mean,
take off.
I think that's the biggest reason why cryptocurrencies are like gaining popularity.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, look at the recent spike of Bitcoin and its in its value, right?
I think it's,
Elon Musk suddenly decides to invest a little bit into it, and it goes crazy and starts rising. So
but
I was
I think
reading
it's
actually
highly
that
overrated.
I was reading
Overpriced.
that first transaction of Bitcoin was actually someone tried to
What
raise.
a pizza.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they bought two pizzas from Papa John's in Bitcoin, and now that the amount of Bitcoin that was used to buy those pizzas is worth millions. It's crazy. So,
I think they use around 200 or something bitcoins for that.
uh, nuts. Can you imagine if you were the first person that accepted that deal, and now it turns you into, yeah, a multi-millionaire?
Of course, of course.
Mm.
In fact,
You rem-
recently Dogecoin has gained a lot of.
Yeah, I know. Dogcoin as well. It's such a funny symbol, right? The fact that you can use an animal as the face of a currency,
Yeah.
but yeah, at the end of the day, it's trust. If enough people accept it as a currency, it doesn't matter if it's got a dog or a monkey or whatever else on the front. It becomes legitimate.
Ah.
So,
Did you heard about the that Reddit incident
which
about
Reddit incident?
the GameStop went up? The stock
Hmm.
of GameStop went up
Or GameStop as of this last spring, or as which, or how
around I think,
recently?
around a month or two ago, 2 months before.
Really?
Yeah.
So what happened? You
So
explain it
what
to me.
basically happened that some of the biggest financial institutions tried to short sell GameStop. They kind of predicted that the stock price will go down, so they kind
Hmm.
of started short selling it. So means they sell it first and buy it
Yeah.
later.
Yeah,
So
I know it. Uh-huh.
yeah,
It's just messing around. You get rid of it and hope to buy it again at a better price, right?
yeah.
So,
So they started selling it. So there is this community on Reddit. It's called find uh, Wall Street Bets.
hmm
It's called Wall Street Bets. So there's around some thousand a lot of people
uh-huh.
follow that community, and those are like active traders.
Hmm.
So these people, they decided to kind of fuck the institutions. So they started. So they started buying the stock. So eventually the stock price went up. So
Just they wanted to screw all these people, economists over that made these predictions.
yeah, and they wanted to like play around or something like that, to teaching them a
Uh-huh.
lesson. Because
Yeah, I'm
so what
sure.
basically happened, some two, three, or four big institutions, they have billions of money to invest. These are like hedge funds, which
Hmm.
collect people money to invest in certain institutions. So they most of the time they come together and invest it together.
Yeah, of course. If you invest together as a hedge fund, it has more weight on it. It actually
Yeah,
has the ability to change the value of the stocks and
that's a
shares.
big thing. And That's why people have decided that they will do something against that. So
Uh-huh.
it
To
started as
counterbalance the weight of
a,
the hedge fund's decisions. Uh-huh.
yeah,
True. If you have enough organization amongst people, then or enough money, then yeah, you do have enough to
it happened the first
wait.
time. It happened, and around, I guess, more than $1 billion got washed away from the market of these
Wow.
hedge funds.
Uh-huh. It must feel pretty good for like the average small
Yeah.
economist to have that power over an enormous hedge fund.
Not even
So
economists, they are like normal people. They just follow a community like Facebook page. It's similar to the Facebook
really,
page. Yeah.
uh-huh. That's funny. Yeah, although in general stocks and shares are very fragile, should I say, and they're
Yeah, it
very
is.
unpredictable. I've found it
It's
funny
volatile.
how at the start of this pandemic, oil became so ridiculously low in its value. People could actually make money through storing oil. Like it had negative value. So
For the first
people were
time.
actually selling to get rid of it. Like what a
Yeah.
strange idea, right?
But
So
now it's all back. I mean, the
it's
prices are.
true.
Yeah.
It's really spiked up again.
In fact,
So
Wall Street now has a stock for water. They have community water.
wow.
They have like
And
commodity. Water is a commodity in their.
true. There's a lot. There's a lot of resistance against that, though. I know there's a lot of humanitarian aid organizations that are fighting to get because water is such a important part of life that everything needs. Organizations fighting, so it's not simply manipulated and traded like other commodities, but business is business. So,
Yeah, I guess.
uh-huh. Yeah, but it also just shows you the errors of like just in time production, right? So at the moment now people are trying to reduce costs by essentially having smaller storage facilities, or they only have the right size storage facilities to meet their needs. So we saw this with oil. This is why a large reason why oil became negative in the value, because people just physically didn't have the space, the extra space to store it. Or that's also why we had supermarket shortages. I don't know if that existed in India, but when everyone tried to buy food at the same time, there wasn't enough extra stock, because it's not seen as a smart business move to have extra space where you store extra products.
Because it is a perishable item.
But even non-perishable items, we had this. So even, I don't know about India, but in England we had a huge problem with toilet paper. So
I've seen memes about that.
You've seen the memes about it, exactly. So toilet paper is not a perishable item, but shops did not want to, and I'm sure it takes a lot of space up, so they didn't want to pay for the extra storage, and everyone was fighting over toilet paper in the shops. So
There was a meme of the Dark Knight, or maybe the Joker, and it was saying that it is just the starting. It's something. It's like, don't judge me. I'm not different. I'm just above the line or something. It used something like that.
yeah,
it is
that's
a
funny.
famous dialogue of the movie.
Sure. There are lots of jokes around it. Were there any shortages in India then, or not particularly?
Not really, actually.
No.
Yeah, because we have a large amount of production of. So the main item that might have the possibility of getting what did he use? The word out of stock,
Yeah, out of stock or depleted, you can also say.
depleted, like the groceries. But
Groceries, like
yeah,
fresh foods.
fresh fruits. So then what happened? We started using the local vendors a lot. Yeah, so we have local general stores chain, which is very common in India.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, any country that has like a huge amount of manufacturing and supply shouldn't have that problem. So
We also have
maybe,
demand actually. We have a lot of we are like a population of 1.4 billion. So and the average Indian is turning the capital, the spending power is increasing because of the increase in education and employment.
sure.
So
Yeah, if it can have an enormous boost to the economy when people's standard of living and their wealth increases, so their disposable income like increases, and that can really grow the economy quickly, right?
yeah.
So
So middle class are increasing. Like the middle class are very much increasing.
sure. And so, how do you see India's place in the world in the future? Do you think it will continue being a hub of manufacturing, or that will be transferred to other countries?
I mean, India is pretty much very similar to China. We have large population, low labor, I mean cheap labor, and innovation is the key.
True. Maybe the services industry will keep growing as well, but
It is actually at the moment we are a hub of service provider.
true.
Time
We've
is
got
running
3
out.
seconds, but
Yeah.
it was great speaking to you. You're clearly a very intelligent man.